Here with Mike, Tuesday Talks and Tips from Mike and Freddie, his sidekick.
Freddie is my coach. This is why he's here every day, because when I forget what I'm talking about, Freddie kind of whispers in my ear and reminds me. Today I'd like to talk about something that most people don't do, which is to write longhand. I have a lot of good friends who don't write at home. They go to cafes, cyber cafes, coffee shops with their tablet, and they write there. But a lot of people write in longhand still. I do it myself, especially when I'm away from home, like at a con. I prefer to write on a keyboard. I like to see the words as I type them. It helps me construct a story. And when I'm writing a story, I edit constantly. I don't go all the way from the beginning to the end in one fell swoop. I go to a point, I make a change, I go back and make sure everything is correct. I reread what I've gotten so far. And every time I do, I find myself making changes which improve the story. But the thing about writing longhand, which is a lost art, is that it forces you to slow down. It forces you to think more about the words. When I was much younger, I sat down to write my first novel. I had no outline, no nothing, no idea. And before I knew it, I had created 6,000 words of garbage. When I looked at it, I knew it was garbage and I threw it away. It took me 30 years to learn how to write a novel, but that's because I'm a slow learner. Once I get it, I get it. The key to writing a novel is to understand what constitutes story. And that can only come with practice and with reading other people. When I find myself at a con in between visitors, I take this out and I start writing on whatever it is I'm working about. I wrote large portions of my novels, which have been published longhand. Of course, when I get home, I transcribe them. And when I transcribe them, I often make changes. But you say, well, writing longhand, that seems so tedious. It seems like such hard work. My hand will get tired. That's no doubt. No doubt your hand will get tired. But Charles Dickens wrote longhand. Great Expectations is 187,000 words long. Now, to me, any book over 100,000 words is a big book. It's not a giant book. God knows James Michener put those to shame. Of course, James Michener had a team of researchers with him, younger people whom he hired, and I believe that they carried a lot of the freight, although the books are undeniably Michener's own. Uncle Tom's Cabin is 184,000 words long. It was written by hand. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 165,000 words. Now, it may be that before the invention of the typewriter and these electronic gadgets that we use, and even voice to print, people weren't in such a hurry to finish things. They weren't so desperate to publish. They wrote these books because these were stories that appeared inside them and demanded to be let out, which is how I write my stories. I always say I don't choose my stories choose me. But then comes the age of the typewriter, and for many years I wrote on a manual typewriter. I kind of miss the clack, clack, clack sound it makes. And there are people who still write on manual typewriters, and they collect them. But now, of course, I'm addicted to my electronic gadgets.
Excuse me, sorry.
Excuse me. Atlas Shrugged, 562,000 words. I've read it. Folks, I got to tell you, Ayn Rand may have had some great ideas, but she was not the greatest prose stylist in the world, and she could have used an editor. John Galt's speech, which appears towards the end of Atlas Shrugged, is 35,000 words long. I don't believe that Ayn Rand would have been able to write these books longhand. They took her long enough as it is. It took years for her to write these books. And the books had a profound impact because of their ideas, not because of her great prose styling. She was not a great prose stylist. What I'm saying is, if you come to a roadblock, a writer's block, excuse me, if you come to a writer's block in the middle of your novel, close your laptop, turn your back on the computer, go into another room with a notepad, and write down any and every possible permutation of the story you can from where you left off, no matter how ridiculous it is or how at odds with what you've done before it is. For instance, if you're writing a crime drama and you say, well, Sam Spade doesn't know who the killer is and he has no suspects, when suddenly an alien beams itself in through the fireplace and says, Sam, I got a tip for you. Write that down. You're never going to use it, but you'll never know what it's going to jar loose. So my recommendation is there's nothing wrong with writing by hand, and at certain times, it can be a benefit. When you slow down, you think about the words more, and it often leads to a more thoughtful presentation and also leads to a more sparing text because it's easier to write less words than it is to write more. Not that you should pare your text down, but Stephen King says in his book on writing, and we're going to do a talk on writing books shortly, he says adjectives are not your friend, and take that to the bank. He's absolutely right about that. Be careful of adjectives. Use them sparingly, only when they're absolutely necessary. And instead of using adjectives, choose the right verb for the job.
All right, very good. So as Mike said, we're going to be launching on his YouTube video some kind of like a series of writing tips, starting from the beginning of how do you think of a story, get your characters, titles, all those type of things, storyline, and then into rough draft, revising, and then final. Did you want to say something? What is that?
Gang symbol.
Oh, okay, Mike. Anyway, so hopefully those will be very helpful. Freddie's now emerged on the scene again.
Says, what did I miss?
Thank you for everyone that got us up to 1,000 subscribers. We're very excited, appreciate it. And also appreciate your comments and likes, subscribing. Also, if you don't know, Mike does have a Patreon account, what was the book that you were going to give people when they sign up for your Patreon?
The Architect. And if you sign up for my Patreon and you're a writer yourself, I'm happy to counsel you gratis.
All right, well, very good. That's a very generous offer because of the years of experience Mike has in writing. And we appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully, I don't know what part of the country you're in. Hopefully, you're keeping warm and safe and dry. We've been sub-zero. Okay, Mike. I don't think people would think you're a gang person. But anyway, we've been having very frigid and cold weather. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.